I think when I found out that the people who made this music that was this central focus of my life, when I started to find out they were Negroes. And then I wanted to know more about that because they didn't have any where I lived. But the music these people made was like an atom bomb on my small town. I mean, there was nothing that could even shine its shoes. And I just thought it was so far superior to the life I had been given that I wanted to see.
So when was the first time you smoked pot?
Well, you know, it was in 1960, late in 61, early in 62, I can't remember. I can't remember the first time.
Must have been good stuff.
It wasn't that good, but I mean, the idea of it was scintillating. I had been looking for it for a couple of years since I started reading about it. Maybe more than a couple of years.
Where's the first place you read about it that you know you wanted to get some?
More on the road, I think.
Yeah.
I was a sophomore in high school when On the Road came out. And then I read Really the Blues. Somebody turned me on to that, and I just said, there's the paean to pot of all time. You know? So I was sold, but I didn't know where to get any.
Where did you get it?
Well, I went away to a little Methodist school called Albion for 2 years, and I hated it. And I finally left. I went back to Flint. I went to the colleges there. So I was in Flint, and then I hung out in the ghetto. I went to the jazz clubs, you know. And hang out at the barber shop, listening to Gene Ammons records on the jukebox, and that kind of thing. So first I got turned on to pills and cough syrup. And I liked not so much. I mean, I just like being in the underworld of drug users. I just really enjoyed that. And Negro drug users. To be accepted by these guys, I just felt like I was doing pretty good as a young guy. And finally one day, one guy pulled me aside. He said, man, he said, these pills, cough syrup, that's all bullshit, man. Smoke this. And that was how I got high. And I was in, he says, these people, and then when we were getting high, he was telling me how all that stuff was stupid and negative and they weren't into anything. And weed made you get high and you had better ideas and you saw things better. So I got a good training in terms of what Leary used to say, set and setting. My mind was set right, and I was doing it in the right place, so I felt I got the most out of it. I remember when I got really high, the same guy, he grew some down by the banks of the Flint River. This is in 1962. And this is the guy I copped from. When I started, I used to have him roll it for me. I didn't know how to roll it yet. I'm always embarrassed when I think of that. But he grew some down by the Flint River, and that October at harvest time, I turned 21. And he gave me a little bag of the pot that he grew, and it was the bomb. And I remember the first time I got it, I was sitting around. The record that was out then that everybody listened to in our circle was Someday My Prince Will Come by Miles Davis. Everybody had it. When you went to somebody, you know what I mean, everybody was playing it. I heard it at least 100 times. And I'm sitting there and I smoked this joint that he had grown. And then I started hearing this record like for the first time, you know, I'll never forget that. I said, God damn, you know, well, I didn't even know there was a soul, you know, I mean, because I'd been listening to it stoned on pills and cough syrup and shit. And all of a sudden it was like you know, it was illuminating. There it all was. I said, man, this shit is hipper than I thought it was, this music. That was a great experience.
Coltrane's on a couple tracks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, T.O. and the title track. He takes the second solo. Yeah, I've listened to it 10,000 times since then, you know. I got it on my hard drive right now.
Started out with vinyl and with the tape, CD,
yeah.
Now it's just some blip in a computer.
It's an MP3. It's a ones and zeros.
So what was the first record? What was, if there was one record you had to pick that changed your life, what was it?
Oh man.
Altered the course of your history.
Well, when I was little and I heard these rhythm and blues records, when I was 10 or 11, and I couldn't tell you exactly what the first record was. I remember One Mint Julep by the Clovers, which is still a terrific record. I played it on my radio show 2 weeks ago. But I remember that, and looking up, it was from 1952. Just those rhythm and blues records with the groups, the Drifters, the Clovers, the Moonglows, the Flamingos. Man, that shit just, and then the records by guys like Ray Charles and Big Joe Turner and Laverne Baker and Ruth Brown, all the Atlantic artists and all the specialty and all of that. I was lucky to get in on the last end of that first, before rock and roll came in. Then I turned like 14 when Tutti Frutti came out, So I was just right there on the firing line. I'm being fired at by this shit. And that was what changed my life. I never could really do what I was supposed to do after that. I tried for several years, but it didn't ever work out.
So, if I got the story correct, you were kind of drafted into the music industry, right? Didn't the MC5 approach you?
Well, we were friends. I was, for the first year after I first heard him and met him, I was like their biggest fan, or one of them. They had a lot of people who went to all the gigs, and I was one of them. Because every night it would be different with the Black to Come. Every night, you never knew what would happen. So you didn't want to miss too many because you might miss the greatest one of all time, It was a great motivation. And I became really close friends with Rob Tyner, the lead singer. And he was like a genius guy. Late in life, he was a bitter man, and he tried to repudiate everything that he had done as a young man that was beautiful and progressive, and blame it on me for dragging him through this. But in reality, we were close friends, and we hung out and got high and rapped and sometimes took acid. And we talked about everything that was wrong with the world, like friends do, and listened to great records. And I say in my development, he had as much influence on me as I had on him. In other words, he was pretty well developed as a guy with his own way of thinking. My first companion like that was a trumpet player named Charles Moore in Detroit. And we had the same kind of relationship where we fed back and forth for a couple of years, and both of us developed our outlook to it. That's why I was with Rob. So all the stuff of me dragging these guys into my political movement and all that, I didn't have any. I was a beatnik poet. I wrote a column for the underground paper called The Coat Poet to tell you who was playing where and what books were out and what paintings. It was arts columns for an underground paper.
Your movement got real serious real fast in those days.
Well, that's the interesting that's detailed in this book. I've had quite an emotional distance from this book for a long time. It's been out of print for 35 years. But I've been living on we bought it out at Remainder in 1973, about 7,000 copies. So I saw them on my personal appearances, and they bought my dinner for many years, but I never read it or anything. And I ended up doing 2.5 years in prison. And I look at the book and I think maybe I shouldn't have said all this shit, because what did I get for it? I got fucking go to prison. And then to be vilified by the Tyner heights of the band for all these years, it's not been pleasant or comfortable for me either.
What's your
Since
relationship?
I was the one who got fucked.
What's your relationship with the rest of the MC5 now?
Well, Wayne and I have been very close friends since the 70s when he got out of prison. He did a little more time even than I did at Lexington. And when he got out, he called me and he understood how I felt about being abandoned. And, so I'm an easy guy to get along with. If you do something wrong to me, all you gotta do is say, I'm sorry I did that. I was brought up Catholic. A good act of confession and say your 5 Hail Marys, they would get straight. Well, these other guys, Dennis Thompson used to say how they should have killed me, and they eliminated this problem way back in the day. And now we're friends through the agency of Wayne. When Fred died, when Rob died, and when they played together for the first time, and then when Fred died, and Wayne thought, man, I really fucked up with those two guys. I loved them, but I hated them, and we never overcame our ugliness. And he just felt terrible. And he had also gotten straight himself and quit drinking and all that. So he really made an effort to get right with the other guys. And then they came on to make that movie, and that threw them together. And then they developed so they have a life, and now they play together and everything. And now he's brought me into that circle, so I'm friends with Michael and Dennis again, and my heart feels much lighter. Because, man, I mean, we had the time of our lives together when we were young. We just had the fucking greatest possible time you could ever have with the MC5. I mean, it was just fucking incredible. And then, then I went right to prison for 2.5 years. So all of my memories were really at a pretty high level. I wasn't there when they all became dope fiends and fucked up the band.